We had been married for 10 years, and to everyone who knew us, we were the perfect couple. I was the architect, obsessed with precision and detail, and Clara was the interior designer, the creative force that brought warmth to my structured world. Our home was a reflection of who's modern, elegant, and seemingly flawless. But beneath that polished surface, something was rotting. It started small. Clara began staying late at work more often. Her phone, which used to sit casually on the counter, was now always face down. She took long walks in the evenings, claiming she needed to clear her head. At first, I believed her. She had a demanding job, and I wanted to be supportive. But, over time, the excuses piled up, and the distance between us grew. I could feel it in the way she avoided my gaze, in the way her laughter felt forced. Something was wrong, and I couldn't ignore it any longer. One night, while she was out on one of her walks, I sat at my desk, staring at my laptop. I hated what I was about to do, but I needed to know. I dug through her emails, her social media, anything that might give me answers. And then I found the messages between her and a man named Daniel. They were cryptic, filled with inside jokes and references to places I didn't recognize. My stomach churned as I read them. Clara was having an affair. I felt like the ground had been ripped out from under me. I wanted to confront her immediately, to scream and demand answers. But I didn't. I couldn't. I needed proof-undeniable, irrefutable proof. So, I started planning. I installed a tracking app on her phone, recorded her conversations, and even followed her one evening. That's how I found out about the boutique hotel on the outskirts of town, the place where she met him. I watched from a distance as she laughed with him, her hand resting on his arm. It was like a knife twisting in my chest, but I didn't act right away. I wanted her to feel the weight of what she'd done, to understand the pain she'd caused me. So, I came up with a plan. I spent months designing a jewelry box, a beautiful piece made from rare wood with intricate carvings. It was a masterpiece, but it was also a trap. Inside, I hid a compartment filled with photos, messages, and other evidence of her affair. On our 10th wedding anniversary, I gave it to her. I know we've been through a lot lately, I said, forcing a smile, but I wanted to give you something special, something that represents everything we've built together. She opened it, her eyes lighting up as she admired the craftsmanship. She had no idea what was hidden inside. A few days later, the tracking app alerted me that she was at the hotel again. This time, I followed her. I walked into the lounge and saw her sitting with Daniel, laughing as they clinked champagne glasses. Her face went pale when she saw me. "Ethan, what are you doing here?" she stammered. "I think the better question is, what are you doing here?" I replied, my voice cold. She tried to explain, but I didn't let her. I pulled out the remote control I'd hidden in my pocket and pressed a button. The hidden compartment in the jewelry box sprang open, spilling its contents onto the table. Photos, messages, everything I'd collected it was all there, laid bare for her to see. The fallout was immediate. Clara's affair became the talk of our social circle, and her reputation was ruined. She begged me for forgiveness, but I couldn't give it to her. I filed for divorce and moved out of our home, leaving her to deal with the mess she'd made. For a while, I threw myself into my work, using it as a distraction from the pain. The jewelry box, once a symbol of my love for her, became a reminder of her betrayal. But as time passed, I began to wonder if I'd gone too far. Had my need for revenge consumed me? Had I become the kind of person I despised? Years later, I received a letter from Clara. In it, she apologized for what she'd done and expressed her regret for the pain she'd caused me. She said she'd spent years reflecting on her choices and had come to understand the depth of her mistakes. Reading her words, I felt a mix of emotions, anger, sadness, and even a flicker of pity. I decided to meet her. We sat in a quiet cafe, the weight of our shared history hanging between us. As we talked, I realized that I'd been carrying the burden of my revenge for far too long. It was time to let go. We didn't reconcile, our relationship was beyond repair, but we found a way to move forward, each on our own path. I continued to thrive in my career, and Clara worked to rebuild her life. The jewelry box, once a symbol of betrayal, became a reminder of the lessons we'd both learned. For me, it was a lesson in the dangers of revenge and the importance of forgiveness. For Clara, it was a lesson in the consequences of her actions and the value of honesty. In the end, we both emerged stronger, wiser, and ready to face whatever the future held.